you are curious why I'm here, and I came from Poland, from Warsaw, where I'm working for the Ryzen software house, where we mainly work for American clients. But also, I work for the TopTal community, which is one of the biggest freelancer platform currently in the world. So, what is in fact TopTal? As you can see on my T-shirt, that's the freelance platform for the designers, developers, and the finance experts. And what makes TopTal different than any other platforms or companies? TopTal is based on the other rule than other companies, because TopTalers want to escape from the 9-to-5 work time. So it's dedicated for digital nomads. And for example, last year I was working on the United States, I was in Armenia, Georgia, Ukraine, many other countries of Europe, and also working. So I can travel and work. So probably some of you want to work like this? Maybe someone? Okay, great. But last but not least, TopTal is also a professional community which help to grow freelancers. So for example, I organized the meetup on the Google campus of Warsaw, where TopTalers can just talk each other and improve their skills, improve the English skills, improve also front-end skills, because they are mainly developers. And in fact, TopTal is also a great opportunity to grow skills in case of conferences. As you can see, I can attend here thanks to TopTal. So yeah, that's shortly TopTal. But yeah, second question is, why am I here? So do you raise your hands if we see front-end developers? So who is front-end, in fact, currently just for work? So do you have any problem with the designers in your work? Yes? Raise your hands, who had? Yeah, so it's guys like me, you know? So, but it's not, in fact, about the problem. It's more about helping each other, because the cooperation makes the product more valuable and better for the client. So why that's so important to make better visual skills for developer? First of all, I think that currently the designer and developer have quite similar some sort of skills. Like, for example, they have analytical skills and just the tools are different. But we see on the market tools like, for example, Framer.js for designers when I need to code. So currently, we have the fluid transfer between the designer and developer. Also, it means that if developer has the better skills of designer, that is better for the client, and that will give him better salary. And he will also just don't waste so much time for designers. So if you learn more in design case, you don't waste my time. So that's simple. Okay, so let's go to the best or good practices of visual design, how you can improve that skills. So first of all, I want to start by typography. So typography is really underestimated value of internet, because almost 80% of content in internet is about text. So if we manage good with the text, we can simply get a better value for the user. So the first thing, what I recommend, to use modular scale. So modular scale is based on the golden rule. Probably all of you know that rule from nature. So maybe in this beautiful building are some golden rule examples, maybe, I don't know, who knows? Yeah, so using modular scale for every single headline or body text is better, because we have clear relationships between them, and that's proof that user will have better perception of the website. Next thing, which is really very important for readability of text, is a good spacing. So I recommend to use line height spacing about 1.5, because as you can see on the right image, it's really more readable, right? Yeah, so as you can see on the medium, for example, example of the great readability, great articles are just like this. Also for headlines is 1.2, the space of between lines. Also using the vertical read is very important for users, because if you can see right here, we have different blocks of text just divided with each other. So double spacing in that case is really helpful to divide all block of texts. Yeah, also good practice is to use line height between 45 to 75 characters per line. And for the narrow columns, 35 to 55 is good enough. So on this example of New York Times website, we see that each column will have this amount of words. So that's also, Americans use that. So that should be good. Okay. Please pay attention to the micro typography, because our subconscious mind just perceive the key words as just explaining all of text. So if we can read these five words, we can know what is all text about. We don't need to read whole description to know what it's all about. I'm right? You see that? Nice, nice. Okay, so next thing is visual hierarchy and structure. So I will quote the quite famous designer that a good front-end developer will respect design relationships, but great developer will understand them. So I mean that if we plan development process, we have clean vision, how it needs to work, and we also need to have hierarchy. So yeah, very important is also not to overwhelm user by features. So in this case, if we have carousel with the navigation, it's better to use this type of descriptive clicking labels. And that's one example. The second example is, as you can see on the header, we have text, but it's better to merge them in the hamburger menu. It's quite obvious, but also that increase conversion rate. So yeah, keep it simple. So in fact, just less is more is the obvious rule of design, but also development, that we don't need too much drop-downs, too much sliders, too much text paragraphs. We can just make it more minimalistic, but it can be the same or better value for user. Okay, so what is good practice in preparing elements for development from my side, and how it looks like? So, for example, if we got, probably some of you have that situation, that you have that many elements to prepare, but you received only two. Some one of you have that situation? Okay, so we need to just figure it out. And a good way to work with the cooperation between designer and developer is work starting from using Sketch app. You know Sketch app? Yeah, so SketchUp is mainly for designers, but it's good to know if you, for example, receive file in a Sketch, you can himself just something do with that. And also good practice is using exported files to InVision. You know InVision app? Yeah, so if you know that InVision before development, you can just rate if screens are good or not good to implement. And the second one, the Zeppelin app, which is, I think, the best tool for developers to manage assets. You know, Zeppelin app? How many of you? Oh, almost half, so good enough. So for these who don't know how work Zeppelin is management for the assets. So for example, we have all website project into many pieces of design. We have certain lines of code for CSS, we have positioning, we have all data about sizes, colors, all are in the one style guide file. So that's really good tool. Also, I recommend to measure the contrast between elements. So you have in developer tools plugin for measuring contrast ratio. So for example, if you have blue button with the blue background and the white text, the better way for user, if relationship between colors is above 3-point ratio, and the perfect is if it will be 4.5 ratio. So as you can see on this app example, blue and white, 3.2, good enough. But it's not perfect. Maybe on some resolution or some monitors or some displays will be badly readable. Okay, so I will add you some couple psychologically based laws of user experience, UX UI. Good to know as a developer. So first of all, what is UX UI? No one knows? So what I'm doing here? Yeah, but something more? Okay, so I use this metaphor because that's how is prepared design from my side, but that it needs to be done for the user. So, you know, just the user often has the different expectations to design than designers. So you need to know that before receiving UI project, we have also the user expectations, which are really important. So on the psychology, we have, for example, serial position effect, which is, as you can read, some sort of composition between elements. And this composition will be remembered worse or less if we have more elements in some group. So that's also quite obvious, but on the practical case, that will affect like this. If we have a group of elements which are quite similar, but not enough similar, we need to avoid something like this, because that's the expectation of user. And in the deeper example, if we have on the website main categories, then we have filters, and then sorting these filters, we have clean logic structure from the left to the right, gradation of elements. So that's example of serial position effect. Understand? Okay. Also, it's valuable if we have many inputs on our design. We can just merge them to the dropdown, but that's also quite natural. Next thing is the law of proximity. So if we have some sort of coherent group which are closer together, they should work as a separate group. So for example, as I showed you earlier, we have one block of text, and that's the better than just all merge into one piece. So just avoid merging all block text, make it more clean. It's optimal for user. Also, on this example from GoDaddy.com, if we have, for example, billing information, it's better to divide logic groups, and we have separate payment information and separate billing information. That's better than all in one piece. Yeah, it's also seems to be rule for the colors. We have clean groups of the one sentence. Okay, next thing is a Zeigarnik effect, which is based on the psychology experiments by Bluma Zeigarnik from Berlin. That she discovered that waiter in a restaurant better remember things or orders which are unfinished than orders which are paid. So, in fact, in the UI, it will be like this. We have examples of, from example, learning stuff. If we didn't finish the process, we have to show user, and he will be better remember all of these process. Also, it's really important for completing a profile, filling a registration projects, steps of payment, something like this. So it's really good to showing user that he need to remember something. So let's go to some practical case. Yeah, so that's a drop-down menu with the 2 elements. So how we can make it better? What do you think? What? Okay, good way. Okay. Toggle button will be for 2 elements more optimal than the drop-down. So yeah, that's the easy example. But what's about that example? Is that good UI? What do you think? Yeah, slider, but this type of slider? Like this? Still not good. So, yeah. But it's funny. I think it's good for the game. Yeah. Anyway, I think the quote from Albert Einstein that everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. So in this case of iOS device, sound control seems to be, I think, reasonable. So yeah, I want to also recommend ebooks or content in the internet, how to expand your skills as a developer in the visual stuff. So for example, do you know Webflow? Creating website without developer, you know that? Maybe not, because you're developers. Okay, so I really recommend to use that and read that ebook. It's free, and you have many great advices to increase your skills, because that's valuable. Also, I recommend UX Design, the Definitive Beginner Guide for, it's mainly dedicated for the UX designers, but also that basics can be helpful for you. So that's the ebook, also free by Polish startup. Yeah, recommend that. So yeah, mainly that's it for me. All of this shared recommendations you can find on this link if you want just to do it on your phones. You can also find my ref link from TopTal. So if you want to just try work as a digital nomad, just go into that link and you will find a referral link from this conference. So yeah, that should be dedicated. And if you want, you can just ping me on these addresses. So do you have any questions? Questions, not to, come on. No? Any problems? Any? Yeah.
Thank you for your speech.
Thank you.
Are there any websites where developer can online try different designer stuff. Like I want to implement radio buttons,
Okay.
but I'm not sure how it should look like, and I don't know much examples.
Okay,
Maybe
so
I have some websites.
on this link, I recommended a couple sites. It's there also goodui.org. There you can find some good examples, good practices. So please visit this page, and that will be really, I think, valuable for you.